Make a start, Mr. Connolly. It's 1:15.
Brilliant, cheers, sir. Afternoon, everybody. This is going to be pretty much a whistle-stop tour of the Cambridge National Sport Studies. A couple of pupils asked me this morning when I spoke to them briefly about the course, is this a GCSE? It's not a GCSE, but it's the same as. It's a Cambridge National in Sport Studies. So I'll quickly go through some of the key points, and if you've got questions at the end, you can obviously fire away. So just to be clear, there's 3 units as part of the Sport Studies course. The first one is a contemporary issues in sport, and quite simply, it's an exam that is worth 40% of the overall grade. So already, one of the key themes that I want people to understand about the Sport Studies course is that whilst there are significant elements of practical, there's still quite a bit of theory as well, and people need to be really clear about that. So the exam is worth 40%, as I've said. There's some key topics there which we don't really need to go through now, but it's basically looking at issues to do with participation in sport. So that's probably going to be delivered in year 11, and it's probably going to be about 3, if not 4 months of work in the classroom, because it is all pretty much theory based. The second unit that we're going to look at, which will probably start in year 10, is performance and leadership. So in a nutshell, this is the second unit, and it's worth 40%, again, the same as the examined unit. And it concentrates on one individual activity, which for a lot of our pupils tends to be things like badminton, trampolining, or maybe the dancers. And they do one team sport. So it might be football, they could be involved in a team dance, or it could be handball. So it's a team game. And they get scored practically in their skills qualities, but it also looks at their leadership as well. So this 40%, which is practical and leadership, focuses on their leadership as well. So if you're somebody that feels like your leadership isn't the strongest, maybe this is a good course for you, because it will bring those qualities out. So don't think just because I'm not typically someone that would be classed as a leader in sport that this isn't the course for you, because we'll work on that and we'll develop that. And likewise, even if you're not the best sports person in the world, that's not a reason not to choose this course. One of the things I will say at this point is, if you don't like sport, if you don't like PE, this is not the course for yourself. And I know that sounds an obvious thing to say, but I just wanted to clarify that. So unit 1, the examined unit, is 40%, and the second unit, the performance unit, is 40% as well. And obviously, this unit is going to be much more practical. So you'll spend a lot more time in the sports hall with this unit. And then I said there were 3 units. The third and final unit, which I should imagine will start sometime in the summer term of year 10, is an outdoor and adventurous activities unit. Now, for me, if I was choosing my options, this would be right up my street, because I like the idea of being, COVID permitting, able to go out into the countryside and do some sort of an expedition. Exactly what that expedition is going to look like at this moment in time, I'm not 100% certain, but I'd love it to potentially involve a camping out in the Peak District. It might entail some abseiling. It might be rock climbing. It might actually just be something, and I say as simple as, but something like following a map for 10 miles and using a compass and moving from point A to point B. If you've seen the Bear Grylls, I don't know if that type of program is going to inspire you or scare you, but I definitely want it to be something that's an expedition where we go and explore some of the countryside. Now, there is some theory still with this unit, because we'd have to plan the expedition before we actually go, and we would review it once we got back. So this unit is worth 20%. So obviously 40% for the examined unit, which will be very theory based, 40% for the practical sport unit with the leadership. And whilst that will be massively practical, there will still be some theory elements that link to the leadership unit. So there is still an element of theory with that, with this LO, with this unit, sorry. So there's like a bit of an overview of the 3 units that we will study. Just a couple of other points that I want you to bear in mind. It is probably going to be about 65% theory. The exam is nearly 50% of the course, so we'll spend nearly 50% of the time in the classroom preparing for that exam. And whilst we've got other practical, the other 2 units are practical, there are still some elements of theory that will go into those those units. So it's about 65-35 in terms of theory to practical. So that's something to bear in mind. But it is a course that will challenge your ability to lead others, to develop your organisational skills, and to improve your confidence. And I think there are 3 really big benefits of this course. What the sports studies course is not, it's not simply more practical PE. In the past, we've had pupils that have chose the course because they love PE and they think that it's going to solely be PE. 65% of it is likely to be in a classroom focusing on theory. I'm not trying to put anyone off. I just want to make sure that everyone's clear what it is and what it isn't. So it's not just a practical subject. There is the theory side to it. It's not a GCSE, as I mentioned before, but the Cambridge National Qualification is worth the same when you go to college. And it's not just for those, and this is important as well, it's not for those people that play loads of sport. So if you don't play sport outside of school, that's not a limiting factor. You can still do this activity, or you can still choose, this unit. So the types of activities that you can look at is sports coach, expedition leader, fitness instructing, professional or semi-professional sports performers, because we have some of the level 3 qualifications at college that this course feeds nicely into. And obviously we have emergency services courses that you can do at college, or you could go directly into some of these at the age of 18. And I think because of the confidence that you develop, the leadership that you develop, the organisation that you develop, working with other people, I think if you're looking at the emergency services, perhaps that this would be a great course for that also. Now, I'm not too sure whether we've got any questions, Mr. Heatley, at the minute. I've spoke for 7 minutes. Is there any questions that people have got?
I've not got any questions in the chat, but if anyone would like to put any questions in the chat, we can try and answer them. Yeah,
because the other thing to say as well is if you don't feel like this is the best forum for asking questions, please do feel free. My email address obviously is on there, jconnolly@copleyacademy.org.uk. Send me an email. I have already spoke to some of the pupils today, and I'm going to be speaking on Monday to the other half of Year 9s, just basically going through this content. It's obviously the booklet that you guys, I think, should have by now with all this information. But if you have still got questions, please send me an email or direct them through your son or your daughter, and obviously we'll answer those questions. Has there anything come up, sir, question-wise?
No, nothing.
No. Well, I'm going to be here for the next. We've got another minute or 2. I'll sit and wait to see if there's any questions, and obviously I'll answer them. But if you haven't got any questions, nice speaking to you. Find me any questions at any time moving forward, but enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, Mr. Connolly.
Cheers, sir.